If you follow the news, you could be forgiven for thinking the Middle East is permanently on the verge of a catastrophic region-wide war. Every headline seems to announce a new crisis, every alert a new provocation. The dominant narrative is one of chaos, of ancient hatreds and irrational actors hurtling towards a confrontation that will engulf the world. But this perception, fueled by a constant stream of alerts and expert commentary, masks a deeper, more stable reality. The purpose of this channel, MeccaMatrix, is to look beyond the noise. It is to understand the underlying structure of power and incentives that actually governs the region. This is not a place for panic, but for calm, strategic analysis. First, we must understand the environment in which we receive our information. The modern 24-hour media ecosystem is not designed to inform you about stability. Stability is boring. It does not generate clicks, shares, or advertising revenue. Conflict or the threat of it does. A diplomatic breakthrough is a one-day story. A single missile strike can dominate the news cycle for a week. Social media algorithms then amplify the most emotionally charged content, creating an information diet of perpetual crisis. Nuance is lost, and context is stripped away. What you see is not a reflection of reality, but a reflection of what is most likely to capture your attention. The slow, complex processes of economic integration, the painstaking backchannel diplomacy, the shared interest in containing threats, these are invisible. In their place, every threat and provocation is magnified into a potential cataclysm. We are shown the waves, but not the ocean beneath. So, let us look at that ocean. The core reason for regional stability is that the primary goal of any regime is its own survival. This is the fundamental organizing principle of state behavior, and it overrides almost everything else. A full-scale, conventional war is one of the greatest risks any leader can take. It is the ultimate gamble. Think of a state not as a single entity, but as a complex web of powerful interests, security services, economic elites, influential families, all of which have a stake in the existing system. A war threatens all of it. It invites unpredictable outcomes on the battlefield. It risks economic collapse, which can lead to riots in the streets. And it can create fissures within the ruling elite, leading to coups or internal power struggles that threaten their hold on power. For most leaders in the region, preserving the status quo, however tense, is vastly preferable to the existential gamble of an all-out conflict. Their actions are not driven by ideology or emotion, but by a cold, rational calculation of self-preservation. Next, consider the powerful economic and strategic constraints at play. Modern states are deeply and inextricably integrated into the global economy. Their national budgets depend on reliable trade routes, access to foreign investment, and stable energy markets. The grand visions for economic diversification that you see across the region are entirely predicated on a stable and predictable environment. A major war would shatter this. It would destroy critical infrastructure, ports, desalination plants, financial hubs that has taken decades and hundreds of billions of dollars to build. It would halt these ambitious economic projects and trigger crippling capital flight as investors seek safer havens. Consider how interconnected the region's supply chains have become. A conflict in one area immediately impacts the ability of another to import food or export goods. The economic cost of modern warfare is so astronomical that it acts as a powerful, structural brake on escalation. No state in the region can afford the Pyrrhic victory of a conflict that leaves its economy in ruins for a generation. The shared need for economic stability creates a powerful, if unspoken, alliance against total war. This brings us to a crucial concept: controlled escalation and signaling. What we often mistake for the prelude to war is actually a form of communication. Limited strikes, proxy conflicts, and harsh rhetoric are not always steps on a ladder to all-out war. More often, they are signals. They are a language of power. When one state sponsors a proxy group to conduct a low-level attack, or when another carries out a precise, limited airstrike, it is not necessarily seeking to start a war. It is sending a message. It is demonstrating resolve. It is testing an adversary's red lines. It is establishing deterrence. It is a way of saying, we are capable of inflicting pain, so do not cross this line. It is a high-stakes conversation, conducted with drones and press releases, but it is a conversation nonetheless, designed to manage conflict, not unleash it. The goal is to operate in the gray zone, below the threshold that would trigger a devastating, direct, state-on-state confrontation that both sides know they cannot afford. This does not mean the region is without risk. The stability is fragile, and the real danger does not come from a grand, premeditated plan for war. It comes from miscalculation. In the fog of war, signals can be misread. One side pushes too far, believing the other will back down, only to find they have triggered an unintended spiral of escalation that neither side wants but neither can escape without losing face. Risk also comes from a loss of control. States may sponsor non-state actors, but these groups have their own agendas and ideologies. A proxy may escalate on its own, dragging its patron into a conflict it did not seek. The relationship between state and non-state actor is one of influence, not absolute command, and this creates inherent unpredictability. And finally, risk comes from internal instability. A regime facing protests at home and a failing economy might be tempted to lash out externally. It is the classic diversionary tactic. Create a foreign crisis to rally the population and distract from domestic problems. These are the true flashpoints to watch, the moments where the cold, rational logic of stability can break down under the pressure of unforeseen events. Our purpose here at MeccaMatrix is to understand these dynamics. It is to separate the signal from the noise, to analyze the incentives that drive state behavior, and to focus on the structural forces that shape our world, rather than reacting emotionally to every headline. The world is complex, but it is not chaotic. There is a logic to it if you know where to look. If you seek to understand how the world actually works, and want to move beyond the cycle of panic and hype, then follow us for calm, strategic analysis.